When I came home from the NICU a little over 3 years ago, everything was uncertain and confusing. But so many people have stepped in to help, not just the medical teams, but even strangers. Moms and grannies on the street could see an obviously confused first time mom, and they just stepped in and helped. Now that I have a little more experience and a little more room in me, I find myself starting to do the same for other new moms that I notice around me. That's a big growth. And my son is going to start preschool by the end of the summer. It really marks the end of the post NICU era, which lasted, in our case, 3 years. Hi, this is Never Too Early. Today, I want to reflect on 3 years of growing from a premature parent to a parent and how that journey gradually changed me. It took me full 3 years to feel like myself again. I know some women have one, two, even three more babies within the time period, and I really don't know how they manage them because I've been just exhausted with just one. I didn't have a rest and recovery period after premature birth. I started commuting to the NICU right away in cold winter, and that lasted for 4 months. Then a bunch of medical follow up care continued after we came home. We don't have extended family nearby, so it was pretty much all on us and really on me when my husband started traveling for work half the time. I was exhausted and depleted for a long time. And last year, I had a miscarriage, which really took a toll on me hormonally, emotionally, and mentally. It was a loss we carried alongside everything else, and I may share more about it in the future. When this year started and my husband took time off work, there was a big shift. Right around the same time, my son started taking a huge leap in his development and caught up so much of his mobility delay, which was a game changer for our daily life. I started feeling like myself again, the new version of myself. I started getting back into things that I put on hold for a long time, finding interest in books again, in small fashion things, in skincare, and all the little joyful things that I simply didn't have room for. They started coming back. For the first time in a long time, I feel really good. And I feel like an expanded version of who I was before. With all the experience I've gone through and a former preemie who has turned into a happy, healthy child. Giving birth to a 23-week preemie in the ER bathroom was a shocking experience. Many people assumed it must have been traumatic for me, suggested I consider therapy, but it wasn't really like that for me. I am a master of detachment. Of course, it's a coping mechanism which I developed over years during my childhood and teen years, navigating difficult situations in my family of origin. It is probably not the healthiest approach, but it is the method that I know. Even during the birth and the days immediately after, I was so detached that it felt almost like an out of body experience. Looking back, I think that detachment was actually quite useful in the premature birth and NICU situation because there's really no moment to sit down and process your emotions when you're in it. The extreme preemie is in the incubator fighting for life. With your shocked and unhealed body, you're managing the medical situation, hospital paperwork, government paperwork, while you have to constantly pump, which takes up about 30 to 40% of time every day. And then after NICU, you have to keep finding ways to support a child with the ongoing impacts of prematurity. Things keep happening, life keeps moving. So it was helpful to be able to set my own emotional processing on one side for a time. What I didn't expect was that starting this channel will give me the chance to actually go back and do that processing that I deferred. I had been wanting to share these experiences and information for 3 years, but I didn't know that it was also going to give me an opportunity to look back, look inward, and look forward. Working through each episode turned out to be its own form of reflection. I am grateful for the detachment that helped me function during the challenging situation and phase. And I am grateful for this channel, which gave me the space to finally process what I had been carrying. I was a fairly typical millennial woman who grew up in hustle culture. I had to do, and do it fast. I admire speed and visible success and the idea of doing it all. After having my preemie, I started seeing how beautiful every little being is in its own way. What I used to read as flaws no longer look like flaws to me. They look like special, distinct things that make someone who they are. I also learned to slow down. I can no longer get behind the move fast, break things, a Silicon Valley mantra. I'm now on team move slow and don't break things. Not everything and everyone needs to be optimized for speed and exponential growth. I started seeing the beauty in stability and sturdiness in things that last and realized that slowness is what makes those things possible. I also finally understood, not just in my head, but also in my heart, that I can do it all, but not at the same time. I accepted the seasons of women's life and learned to work with them rather than against them. So now I'm in the season of prioritizing raising my child. I know that many women are in positions where they have no choice but to do everything at once. And I have deep respect for that because I know how hard it is. But as a millennial woman, I also know that some of us who do have some options still struggle with accepting them because it conflicts with the idea of powerful woman we were raised to become. It took years of internal work to reach this place, which started years before my son was even born. The past 3 years completed something that was already in progress. And I got to see how many everyday heroes exist in this world. Every person who diligently carries their responsibilities without being loud about it. All those nurses, doctors, medical staff, emergency teams, equipment manufacturers, researchers, and therapists. And when I expanded that outward to every field, I noticed that the people who actually touch other people's lives are mostly not the loud ones. They're quietly doing their work, and each of them move the machine. And I find that so beautiful. Some of the loud successes that I used to admire started to look a little silly compared to them. My perspective changed quite a lot. And I'm glad to see the world the way I see now, especially in this season of life. Above all, I am immensely proud of my son and myself. I'm so proud of my former preemie, born at 23 weeks and 600 grams, who has grown into a wonderful, funny, sophisticated, bright, small child. His walk is still a tiny bit unstable, but he's trying, learning, and growing beautifully every single day. The peak moment was witnessing him walk into his preschool and confidently introduce himself to the director. He's no longer just a former preemie with mobility delay. He is about to be a child who goes to preschool, and his independent world outside home is just beginning. I am also proud of myself. Choosing to be a full time caregiving mom during my son's early years, going completely against what modern society often pressures women to do, was not an easy path. But I stayed strong and did it. I did everything I could do for my preemie. For the past 3.5 years, I experienced life with my child as a pair, curated a safe and beautiful home for our family, built our strong community, went to every therapy and treatment appointment, made small and big trips that left us with many beautiful memories, and created a healthy daily life as a family. What is success if this is not? Because I gave everything I had, I have no regrets nor a shred of mom guilt. I am fully ready to let my son start going out and create his own world. And I am proud of the fact that I stayed grounded, resilient, and strong through the NICU, post NICU cares, and the medical treatments. Those were not easy, but I grew through them and I grew deeper because of them. Now I get to close chapter 3, post NICU life, here on this channel and in my real life very soon. I am grateful for everything I had been able to share across these 3 chapters. I carried those stories for 3 years, and I'm so glad that I found a way to put them into episodes, and they've been able to reach some of you who needed them. So, what comes next? In the next chapter, I want to take a different angle and go deep into the history of NICU itself. It started with a simple question about incubators, and I kind of fell into a rabbit hole. How the medicine, the machines, and the understanding of prematurity have evolved over time. I have been looking forward to these topics for a few months now, and I really hope you will join me down the rabbit hole. Thank you for walking through the past three chapters with me, from the NICU journey to the NICU ins and outs and to post NICU life. I'll see you in the next chapter. This is Never Too Early.